Day, not now. The rain had turned the track into a treacherous mirror of gray sky and slick asphalt. His intermediate tires were shot. They were worn smooth, useless. In the garage, a fresh set of full wets waited. The crew stood ready, a blur of coordinated panic. But on the radio, there was only a burst of static. Then, two words cut through the storm, two words that would echo long after the engines fell silent.
Stay out.
He refused to pit. The race that shook Formula One was about to find its defining moment. Today, on this Monday, July 20th, 2026, we remember that race not just for its chaotic finish, but for the quiet tension of its beginning. Hours before the storm, the morning was deceptively calm. The sun warmed the asphalt of the historic circuit. The driver, our protagonist, was a picture of focus in the pre-race preparations. He walked the pit lane, his expression unreadable. He had qualified third, a strong position, but not strong enough. His rivals in the front row had shown blistering pace all weekend. Practice had been a struggle. The car felt nervous in the high-speed chicanes, a fraction too slow on the exits. He knew it would be a fight. The team garage was a hive of controlled activity. Mechanics performed their final checks with the precision of surgeons. They polished the carbon fiber bodywork until it gleamed. The engine was fired up, its ferocious bark echoing off the garage walls, a promise of the power to come. The driver sat with his engineers poring over data streams. They discussed strategy. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. They talked about tire degradation, fuel loads, potential safety car windows. They planned for every eventuality, every single one, except for a driver who would choose to ignore them all. He listened intently, nodding, contributing, but a quiet resolve was already hardening within him. As the cars were rolled onto the grid, the atmosphere began to crackle. The grandstands were a vibrant mosaic of color and noise. The air thrummed with anticipation. Helicopters circled overhead, their cameras capturing the spectacle for a global audience. The driver climbed into his cockpit. The belts were pulled tight, strapping him into his carbon fiber shell. He pulled on his helmet, and the world outside became muffled. The noise of the crowd faded. The distractions disappeared. There was only the hum of the electronics, the feel of the steering wheel in his gloves, and the rhythmic beat of his own heart. He knew the track. He knew the risks. The formation lap began, a slow, deliberate parade. It was the final chance to warm the tires, to feel the car, to gauge the grip of the track surface. As he weaved from side to side, he looked up at the sky. A bank of dark clouds was gathering on the horizon, a subtle warning, a hint of the drama that was to come. The engineer's voice came over the radio, calm and steady. Weather radar shows a 40% chance of rain in the final 20 laps. Just be aware. The driver did not respond. He just completed his lap, eased the car into its grid slot, and stared at the 5 red lights ahead. The world held its breath. The 5 lights went out. Engines screamed to their limit. 20 cars exploded off the line in a violent ballet. Speed, aggression. The start was chaos. The 2 leaders got away cleanly. Our driver was immediately swamped. He lost a position into the first corner, rival on the inside, barrier on the outside. Sparks showered from his floor as the car bottomed out over the curbs. He had to back out slightly to avoid a collision. The crowd groaned. A poor start could ruin a race before it had even truly begun. He was now 4th, with a long afternoon ahead of him. He did not panic. He settled into a rhythm. He conserved his tires. He watched the cars ahead. On lap 3, the battle for 3rd place ignited. The driver in front of him defended aggressively, weaving on the straight. Our man saw an opportunity. He feigned a move to the outside, then dived down the inside into a tight hairpin. The 2 cars were side by side. Their wheels were inches apart. They touched, a sharp, ugly sound of carbon fiber on carbon fiber. The rival's car was unsettled, forced to run wide onto the runoff area. The stewards would be looking at that. The crowd shouted, a mix of cheers and boos, but he was through. He was back in third. The early laps were a relentless dogfight. Positions were traded back and forth throughout the midfield. The television direction struggled to keep up with the action. Onboard cameras showed the intense physical exertion. Drivers' heads were buffeted by G-forces. Their hands made constant, minute corrections on the steering wheel.
Team radio crackled with information. DRS enabled, DRS enabled. Watch for debris. Turn 7.
Our driver was now closing the gap to the front two. He was setting personal best sectors. The car, which had felt slow in practice, now seemed alive beneath him. He was finding its sweet spot.
Then, the first pit stops began. The leaders peeled off into the pit lane for fresh rubber. The strategy game was afoot. His team called him in a lap later. Okay, this is the lap. Push on the in-lap. The pit stop was flawless, a symphony of human and mechanical perfection. 4 tires were changed in 2.2 seconds. The car dropped from the jacks and was released back into the fray. He emerged from the pit lane just ahead of a key rival, winning the track position battle. The engineer's voice was approving. Good job. That was a clean stop. Now, let's hunt them down. The race had entered its second phase, but the sky was growing darker.
The first drops of rain were almost gentle. A whisper on the visor. A subtle darkening of the asphalt. Then, the whisper became a shout. The drizzle turned into a downpour. The track was instantly transformed. Grip vanished. Cars began to slide, their drivers fighting to keep them pointing in the right direction. The pit lane became a frenzy of activity. Teams scrambled to switch. Slick tires, intermediate tires. It was a critical decision. Go too early and you destroy the new tires on a drying track. Wait too long and you end up in the barrier. The race was thrown into beautiful, terrifying chaos. Our driver was one of the first to pit. Green-walled intermediate tires on the car. The team had made the right call. The stop was clean. He rejoined the race in a strong position, now running in second place. He was masterful in the damp conditions. While others struggled, he seemed to dance with the car, finding grip where there was none. He closed the gap to the leader. The leader had stayed out a lap too long on slicks. The leader was now struggling badly. He made the pass for the lead, a brave, decisive move around the outside of a fast, sweeping corner. The crowd rose to their feet, roaring their approval. For the first time all day, he was leading the race. But the weather was not finished. The rain intensified again. What had been a shower was now a monsoon. The intermediate tires, designed for a damp track, were overwhelmed. The cars began to aquaplane on the straights, skating uncontrollably on a film of water. Visibility dropped to near zero. It was dangerous. The safety car was deployed to slow the field. A crash had blocked the track. Twisted metal. Smoke billowed into the wet air. This was the turning point. Under the slow-moving safety car, the entire field, led by the race leader, was expected to pit for full wet tires. It was the only sane thing to do. The call came. Box. We are going to full wets. Box this lap. It was the call that made all the sense in the world, but as he toured slowly behind the flashing lights of the safety car, the driver looked at the giant screen by the side of the track. He saw the lap counter. Lap 53 of 58. 5 laps to go. A pit stop would take 25 seconds. It would drop him to 4th, maybe 5th. He looked at the gap he had built. He looked at the rain. He made a calculation. Terrible, beautiful, insane. He keyed the radio.
His voice was calm, a stark contrast to the storm around him. Stay out.
The engineer's reply was a mix of confusion and disbelief. What was that? Say again? The team on the pit wall stared at each other. Had they heard correctly? I said, stay out, the driver repeated, his tone firm, leaving no room for argument. The tires are gone, the engineer pleaded, his voice cracking. There is no grip. You will not make the restart. The driver had gone silent. He had made his decision. The rest of the field dutifully filed into the pit lane. He stayed out on the main circuit. A solitary figure sailed past the pit entry, alone on a sea of water. TV cameras locked on his car. Close-ups of his intermediate tires. They were slick, bald. The tread meant to disperse water. Completely gone. In the garage, the team principal paced like a caged animal. Strategists stared at predictive models, screens flashing unthinkable scenarios. The crowd murmured in the grandstands. This was it, the gamble of a lifetime. The safety car's lights were about to go out. The restart, terrifying. Safety car peels into the pits. He backs the pack up, controlling the pace. He floors the throttle, rear wheels spin uselessly. The car twitches, threatening to snap sideways. Cars on fresh wets launch forward, grip immense. They swarm around him. He defends like his life depends on it, holding the middle of the track. 3 wide down the straight, rooster tails of spray. Impossible to see. He's a wounded animal holding off a pack of wolves. Survives the first corner, lead by a thread. Lap after lap, a miraculous dance with disaster. On the straights, he aquaplanes at 180 plus mph. He must lift where others are flat out. In the corners, he's a magician. He uses every inch of road. He uses every bit of his experience. He breaks in unconventional places. He takes lines no one else would dare. A defensive driving masterclass under extreme pressure. The final lap began. The gap to second place was nothing. The rival's car was glued to his gearbox, its nose cone darting left and right, searching for a way past. The crowd was on its feet, screaming, their voices lost in the engines and the rain. In the garage, the team held their breath. They were crowded around the monitors, hands on their heads. The engineer's voice came over the radio one last time, offering support. Just one more lap. Bring it home. You can do it. Down the final long straight, the inevitable happened. The car behind pulled alongside using superior grip and DRS, wheel to wheel, hurtling toward the final chicane. It seemed over. The gamble had failed. But our driver had one last trick. He knew his opponent would brake conservatively for the wet corner. He had nothing left to lose. He stayed on the power a fraction longer, braking impossibly late. The car slid, it bucked, it drifted sideways through the chicane. Breathtaking car control. He held the inside line. He emerged from the final corner still in the lead. The checkered flag was waving. He crossed the finish line. The grandstands exploded. He had done it. He had won. 5 laps of a monsoon on bald tires, refusing the pit, holding off the entire field. Slow down lap. A single sob of relief escaped him, broadcast to the world. He slumped over the wheel. Team cheers on the radio. Deafening. You did it. You absolute legend. I cannot believe you did it. Today, the race is remembered not just as a victory, but as a man trusting instinct over data. It transcended sport. Technology and strategy surround us, but a single human spirit can conquer the impossible. Not just a win, a testament to courage. The race became a legend, victories born from refusing what is sensible.